From the kitchen of Who Gives a Damn, it's the IGN Digigods. And now, please welcome two men not afraid to make ice cream with bacon, use cast iron skillets, and occasionally remember to talk about movies, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
What a great intro. Who has listened to our show that they know us that well, including our cooking habits? Corey?
That was brought to you by Mario Mendez, not Menendez.
Oh, yes.
He can't stress that strongly enough.
Don't want to be confused with the Menendez brothers.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
Hello, everyone.
Hi there. It's hot out here.
Ugh, it's the worst.
And we're going on, what, like 7 weeks of just oppressive heat?
I went to the LA.
8?
I went to the LA County Fair yesterday.
Yeah.
And you go to the LA County Fair, which is the best of all the Southern California fairs,
Yes.
I think.
Yes,
better
it
than
is.
the Orange County Fair, Antelope
Sure.
Valley Fair, and whatever. And you don't know what it's like to feel the heat, except when you're walking around in 100-degree weather
Yes.
in an open fairground at a fair.
Yeah.
It was truly terrible. But I've heard that, and I don't know that I believe this, that if you drink hot water or hot coffee or hot tea, it will actually, in hot weather, it will actually help more than drinking cold water or cold beer or cold whatever. If you drink something hot when you're hot, it will help bring your body temperature down. I have heard this.
Really?
Yes, I have.
I've never
I'm not
heard
kidding.
that.
Really?
No.
Not kidding. I kid you not.
Okay.
But here's what I had. Oh, here's the thing. I go to the. By the way, we'll talk about DVDs at some point. But what I'm saying is that I went there because A, it's fun, and B, I really wanted to get this season's hot fried food.
Ugh.
Every fair year there is the one new fried food that everybody must try.
Okra? Fried okra?
No. That's healthy.
No. Ew,
And
really?
okra. And the whole idea is that it's part of the white trash fun of it that they make everything fried.
Okay.
This year it was a fried cupcake.
Mm-hmm.
Now I walked around literally.
That's really gross.
Now I walked around literally for 7 hours, and I did not find the fried cupcake. However, at the end, as we were walking out, I did decide to buy a slice of fried red velvet cake.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
I like red velvet cake, not fried, though.
I liked it. It was fine. The problem with some of the fried vendors at these county fairs is that what they'll do is they'll fry the item. Fried Oreo, fried Twinkie, fried Klondike bar, whatever it is. They'll fry it, and then they'll put it under a heat lamp for an hour, and then you'll buy it. So the fried stuff is kind of soggy. If they had fried it and it was still crispy, then now you're talking.
You're not selling the fair.
It's awesome.
You're really
kidding?
not,
It's awesome.
You're really not
Come
selling
on, how dare you?
a lot of fried food.
You know what
under
they
heat
had?
lamps.
They had fried Dodger dogs.
You're making
fried
it sound like
Dodger dogs.
You're making it sound like a great big giant 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it is. Yes, roller food. It's just like just acres and acres of roller food.
Oh, gross.
So speaking of gross, by the way.
What's this?
But before we talk about some great baseball sets, Criterion City, some good TV stuff.
A lot of great stuff this week.
And a Vox Box this week. You'll hear me sing the song, so get your earplugs now. I have to give away this week's food.
Oh, jeez.
Now, and by the way, for those who are tired of us talking about the food that I make Wade every week and he makes me nothing, you can go ahead and fast forward.
Yeah.
But on Tuesday, I started an 8-week professional baking course.
Oh, I thought you were going to say an 8-week cleanse.
No.
An 8-week,
actually the opposite. An 8-week professional baking course. This is every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Okay.
And they teach you all the chemistry, the difference between baking soda and baking powder and difference between different flours.
Great.
Well, I came home, and on Saturday morning, I did something I'd never done before. Insert your joke here. I did something I've never done before, and that is make a pie crust. I've never made a pie crust before. So I made something very simple because it was about the crust. So I made a very simple little 3-inch turnover thing with jelly in the middle. So I'm going to give this to Wade, even though it took Wade so long to start the show that these little things I'm giving him are now probably cold.
Okay.
So this is not, as you can tell, it looks a little runty.
And what is this?
It's just filled with jelly.
No, but what's it called?
It's called the little turnover thing filled with jelly. It doesn't have a name. Our teacher made this on Tuesday to show us how to make a pie crust.
I don't gamble.
So to make the pie crust worthwhile, she made something very simple. It was just this.
I don't gamble.
Well, this is not a gamble. This tastes very good.
That's a joke.
Huh?
That's a joke.
No, it's not.
Pie crust. Pie gal. You're not making the connection.
No,
okay,
because
fine.
I'm presenting you with my... I baked for you. What the hell? You use nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is these. So again, if you look at the pie crust, if you look at these two little turnover things, it's a little runty looking, but it's flaky, tastes good, jelly in the middle. How bad could it be?
Very nice.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what did you... Okay, now stop. Be honest. What did you expect would happen when you tasted it? Be honest. It would taste like crap. It would taste good. What did you expect?
I don't know. I thought it would taste probably bland.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But not. It's good. Okay. Yeah. It's good.
So they're good. Be honest.
Yeah. It's
flaky.
Good. Yeah.
Right? Okay, here's the key. This is the key to a flaky crust, which I have learned in this baking course, which, by the way, cost me $1,000. I'm not kidding. Cost $1,000. Kid you not.
Okay.
This is a true story.
Wow.
Because there's 8 classes, and each one's $100 and whatever, $20.
Jeez. Okay.
$1,000.
All right.
But look, I'm single. I got nothing else to do with my time.
All right.
I'm going to take 8 baking courses. And you know what? Hopefully, when God forbid a woman comes into my life, which might happen sometime in this millennium, I can bake for them.
That's very good.
Anyway, the key to a flaky crust, Wade.
Yes.
When you roll the dough out, very important that the butter is very cold. That is the key.
Okay.
Very cold butter. I'm just saying. I'm done now lecturing you.
Hardly a single one of my films isn't based on something that happened in my childhood. You know what that is, Mark?
That is the story of Michael Bay.
That is the opening quote from Steven Spielberg, A Retrospective, which is the new coffee table book from Richard Schickel. Forward by Steven Spielberg, by the way.
Oh, and wow. So you know this is a real piece of journalism.
Yeah. Now, this is by our good LAFCA colleague, Richard Schickel. We know him as Dick. And it's...
Okay, can I say something about Richard Schickel? Okay.
Go ahead.
Richard Schickel, I'm going to say this. He is such a curmudgeon. This guy is a miserable curmudgeon.
He's lost like 100 pounds. Did you know that?
Yeah, because he's 10,000 years old.
No, he like recently he's gone on some kind of a cleanse diet or something, and apparently his clothes are just peeling off of him.
Fine. Okay. Here's the thing. He is a miserable, angry curmudgeon. I mean, really, he is Scrooge. But the one thing about Richard Schickel, he is a great writer. He's a great writer on film. He's been a great writer on film for like decades. This guy is the real thing. He is like emeritus status. Schickel is top 5 in the country as a film critic. He is top shelf. But he is a miserable... I have emails.
Yeah, I know you do.
I saved emails that are just so nasty and curmudgeonly that I save them. Mm-hmm. Because they make me laugh too much.
This is a really cool book, I have to say. Now, apart from the fact that it is literally obsolete today because it ends with Warhorse, it doesn't go to Lincoln. And perhaps that'll be a blessing in disguise. I think the trailer for Lincoln looks just awful.
You know what?
It just looks horrendous.
I just can't. You know what? It seems like just the subject matter caters to his worst tendencies.
Yeah, it's the worst. But this book is filled with it's a huge, thick, heavy coffee table book. Great anecdotes, great stories, great photographs, tons of photographs and pull quotes. This is my favorite pull quote in the whole book. This is from talking about Jaws, and he says, "I was out of my mind with fear, not of being replaced, even though people were trying to fire me, but of letting everybody down. I was 26, and even though I felt like a veteran by that time, nobody else felt that way about me. I looked 17, I had acne, and that doesn't help instill confidence in seasoned crews. It was a nightmare. Going into the ocean was like working inside an earthquake." Ooh.
You know what? When you hear him speak, sometimes you go, you know what? You really are Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
There is quotes in this book, and I've heard this. It's actually on the Jaws Blu-ray too, where he talks about why in the opening moments of Jaws, when the girl swimmer gets eaten, why he didn't show the shark at that time. He could have shown the shark, but he decided in that opening sequence with the young swimmer to not show the shark, so that. Because if he said if he had shown the shark, it would just become just another creature feature. Whereas now there's all that dread and mystery still ready to build.
It's absolutely true.
But who would do that today? Nobody.
Nobody would do that
They
today.
would show the shark and it should be gigantic. And you go, oh my God, it's a CGI shark. It's incredible.
Yeah.
The filmmakers don't make those choices. So when you hear Spielberg say stuff like that and you read stuff like that in the book, you are kind of like, all right, I think you've kind of had your best days, and I think the projects you pick don't play to your strengths, but you're still, I mean, an incredibly intelligent filmmaker. You're still Steven Spielberg.
Look, as much as I rip on the guy and as much as I don't like where his career has gone in recent years, I mean, look, the guy made Close Encounters, E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Jaws. Anyone else makes those 4 movies, that's it. You could end a career on that.
Close Encounters, and I've said this before, maybe even on the show, Close Encounters, it has in spades it evokes the one emotion that films don't really bring forth anymore, and that's just awe and wonderment. You just don't get awe and wonderment.
He says, even in the book, it says, and it's a great book. I mean, I definitely recommend this as a great Christmas gift. But he even says, The Close Encounters is the closest thing he's ever made to a dream.
That movie
wonderful.
Is so unbelievably good. Because, again, it's emotions that movies either don't want to hit or the filmmakers aren't either smart enough, bold enough, or interested enough to hit. Which, again, is that sense of wonder.
So, Mark, the complete Carol Burnett show is on DVD. I know. And this giant, monstrous box that they sent us, I spent 10 minutes trying to figure out how this thing opens. Because there's like a little finger pull here, and I was like, you flip it up, you pull it out. It's a sliding thing, Mark. Check it out. See, it's a sliding thing. You see what this is? It's the curtain from the show. See, when the curtain goes up. See, they got the little Carol Burnett icon there, and the curtain goes up. It slides, and there she is underneath.
This time together.
Yeah,
I love this show. This is just a great show.
But then if you pull it all the way off, it's hell to get it back on again.
So they got the reveal right, but to actually reset it to do it again is a pain in the neck.
Gosh, I mean, look, there's it's one of those custom package deals that's leaves much to be desired.
Well, here's the thing about the Carol Burnett show. The Carol Burnett show if you don't know, it was a comedy variety show. It premiered in 1967, and it ran for a long time. It ran for like almost 300 episodes. There was like 11 seasons of this thing, and it was a variety show. Unlike show, they don't really make variety shows anymore or sketch comedy shows anymore. Now it's a lot of like improv shows or stand-up comedy shows, but it was Carol Burnett, Harvey Korman, Vicki Lawrence, Lyle Wagner, Tim Conway, and the show was absolutely hilarious. There was the onus on them to create. It's almost like SNL. I mean, it really was. It wasn't the SNL of its day. The Carol Burnett show was never edgy or topical.
Well, it was what it
was just very vaudevillian.
Very vaudevillian, and certainly the golden age of variety television. And it's the one that kind of stood apart, because everything else was. It was songs, and it was, guest and talk and weird shtick, whether it was Donnie and Marie or the Mandrell sisters or Sonny and Cher or any of that stuff. It wasn't the same. The Carol Burnett show was all about sketch comedy, and it was a particular troupe, and everybody just sort of loved watching that troupe every week do their shtick. And it was a unique show, and no one has ever done something quite like that. It's not the same as Saturday Night Live. It's not at all in the same league with those. It's its own league. And this set is amazing. It's got gobs and gobs. There's like 20 hours of bonus stuff on this, which I haven't even gotten all the way through. There's like retrospective featurettes, and
this thing has 22 discs.
It's amazing. It's really amazing. It's great. It's great seeing Harvey Korman and Tim Conway talk about the show. In hindsight, I mean, I'm glad they got this done while everybody's still alive too.
Well, everybody talks about how the most memorable parts of the show are when Tim Conway or Harvey Korman would start cracking up.
Oh my gosh!
And that's always
Harvey Korman could not contain himself. It's just it's a great show.
It is
a terrific show.
You know what? Again, if you're a younger viewer, you might think to yourself, "Oh, it's so quaint." And yes, okay, I'm not saying it's not quaint. I'm not saying it's not old fashioned. What I'm saying is it's very funny, and it's not just that. Humor has sort of moved on from what the Carol Burnett show was.
Yep.
It was very joyful, clever, fun humor, as opposed to humor now, which tends to be very sarcastic and snarky and ironic and all that sort of stuff. But it doesn't make Carol Burnett any less funny. It's a very expensive set. I know there's some smaller DVD releases that...
Well, there's also this week. For people who don't want to shell out the big pile of money for the huge complete box set, there's also the Carol Burnett Show, Carol's Favorites, which is a collector's edition 6-disc set that includes... 17 complete original episodes, which are some of the most famous episodes. Everybody really loves these, and that includes the one with Starlet O'Hara, right? The Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
It's great.
Wait, I can't think of the words. I'm old. I don't get it. Where she wears the curtain rod.
Yes,
on her
exactly.
shoulders.
Yeah. And, some great guest appearances on this as well. So you don't have to get the complete big mega box set. You can just get the Carol Burnett Show, Carol's Favorites.
You should
should. Yes. You really should.
It's a great set, except for the fact that we can't replace the cover once we slide it off.
That's true. All right. Well, as long as we're talking about big, gigantic, monstrous box sets, Mark, why don't you tell everybody what you have been slavishly enjoying for the past hour?
I didn't even realize this was around. Every once in a while, MLB, and sometimes it's usually the A&E network, A&E Home Video. They'll come up with these really fancy baseball box sets.
Well, they have their deal with the MLB is one of their output deals.
Yes, and although it annoys me to no end that these are not on Blu-ray. It thrills me that they're even available. And we have two of them. One of them is the 50th anniversary collector's set of the New York Mets. Now, as some of you may know, I'm a lifelong Met fan, and I think this thing is fantastic. This thing is great. You slide it out of its case, and there is a very nicely bound book with very thick pages. And the reason why the pages are so thick is because inside the pages are the DVDs. And the only thing I'll say about this set that disappointed me is that, and Wade and I talked about this last week, we don't like it when DVDs are slipped into
cardboard.
Into the cardboard, so that you've got to get your fingerprints pretty squarely on the DVD to pull it out.
And so you're risking the cardboard also scratching the face of the disc.
Yes.
Because cardboard is abrasive.
Yes. Well, also your fingers have oil and fingerprints on it, so for DVD sets or like the Stanley Kubrick set, Blu-ray sets like this, I tend to remove the DVD with like a eyeglass cleaner cloth. So that's annoying. But otherwise, this is a fantastic set. The book is beautiful. There's plenty of information on 1969 and 1986 and the 2001 game with Mike Piazza hitting the great home run. They also have complete games, including Game 6 of the 86 World Series, Game 6 of the 86 National League Championship Series against the Astros. They do have the entire 2001 game where Mike Piazza hits the home run. And they also have the Game 5 of the National League Championship Series in 2000 where Mike Hampton pitched a shutout. By the way, I went to all 5 games of the Met-Yankee World Series in 2000.
I remember that.
You realize I also have a replica 1986 Mets World Series ring given to me by somebody. Here's the thing. When the Mets won the World Series in 1986, they obviously passed out World Series rings to all the players and personnel and whatnot. But the Mets also had a bunch of replica rings made, and they passed those out to friends of the team. Maybe people who didn't deserve a World Series ring, but they were still friends of the team, like extended family, let's say, of the team. And a friend of mine got 2 of them and gave me 1. And that's like a big deal.
Yeah.
And I still have that ring to this day, although it's been busted for years, and I want to take it to a jewelry store and fix it. Anyway, so this has all the great games.
Quite a set.
The pictures
frankly,
are beautiful.
we should say as well. I mean, the other one that you're
the other one, which is the team that we beat in 1986, not to rub that in, but it's true. What can I do? I mean, history is history. Is the Boston Red Sox, 100 years of the Boston Red Sox. Actually, what this is actually, I hate to admit it is pretty cool.
It's the same booklet approach.
It's the same booklet approach. It looks the same. The dimensions are the same. The feel is the same. But this is 100 years of Fenway Park. Now, I've been to Fenway Park once.
Yeah.
And although I'm not a Red Sox fan, I have to say that Fenway Park is a shrine. It is an absolute shrine.
Wait,
you feel like
Yankee Stadium?
I'm going to say that,
more so?
Yes.
Really?
One reason. First of all, Fenway's been around for 100 years.
Okay.
And we talked before the show about why people are attached to baseball sometimes more than other sports.
How long's Wrigley Field been around?
Wrigley Field
like
opened
110 years or something.
No, no. Is Wrigley Field the oldest? No.
Isn't it? I don't know. I don't know these things.
Exactly.
I just know that there's that list of things that have happened since the Cubs won the World Series, which includes
that's different,
like man-made fire, stuff like that. So,
but we talked about how tradition bound baseball fans are. And part of the reason why Fenway is so great is because it is 100 years old.
Yeah.
And another reason why we love Fenway Park is because it is very small. It's a very small ballpark. Mm-hmm. So you literally feel like you are on top of the ball when you're in a seat. Mm. By the way, the last and here's something else like the Cubs. People, again, we talk about tradition. The last time the Cubs won the World Series, it was 103 years ago. Okay, the Cubs have not won the World Series in 103 years. And the idea that in any sport you can say anything hasn't happened for 103 years, that's what feeds that tradition that baseball fans love. Anyway, so Fenway Park, home of the Boston Red Sox. This is, again, a great set. This has a great new documentary on Fenway Park. It has highlights from like 9 different seasons, rare films from the 50s and 60s and 70s. Also has 6 classic games. Yastrzemski from 67, the Carlton Fisk waving home run from 1975. So there's a lot of great stuff in the Fenway Park disc. If you are a Red Sox fan and you do not get this, it's 12 DVDs, 26 hours, a great booklet like the Mets booklet. If you're a Red Sox fan and you do not get this, I do not know what is wrong with you.
Pretty insane.
Same thing with the Mets. If you're a Met fan, you don't get this, don't know what's wrong with you. And by the way, there have been a lot of MLB Network comes up with some great box sets. They have like World Series box sets that are terrific, but this is like the coffee table version.
I know this is impressive. There's a lot of work went into this. It
is very good. Now, if you're a little short on cash, and I understand that, and you can't afford the whole Red Sox set, you could always get the one disc, 100 Years of Fenway Park as the Heart of Red Sox Nation DVD. It's just one disc, and it's an hour and a half. And it's all about the construction of Fenway Park, how it came to become the shrine that it is, and all the great players that played there. So if you can't spring for the box set, and I understand that, you should at least rent. You're probably going to want to buy it. At least rent Fenway Park 100 Years as the Heart of Red Sox Nation.
Pretty cool.
By the way, the Mets suck.
All right, Mark, I'm going to blow through a bunch of foreign stuff and some kid vid, and then we're going to get to television and a Vox Box and new release movies to wrap things out. You know, something that came out on Blu-ray recently is a movie that this is from Olive, and Olive, you know, we talk about Olive, they get all the Paramount library stuff, but every so often Olive will land something that is just totally unexpected. And this is a foreign language film from last year that got a lot of love in our voting meeting last year. It's a Japanese film called Love Exposure by the director Sion Sono. Did this surprise you that so many people love this film in the group, that it came out of nowhere?
Sometimes I think that the group loves films just to say that they love something from another country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not that it's not a good film, because, I mean, it's good. Yeah. It's fine. I liked it. But sometimes I feel like they want to be like they want to be the most esoteric critic in the group, so they love this movie.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, when you say to somebody, yeah, this movie, it's called Love Exposure, and it's a Japanese movie, and it's kind of one of those typically tweaked, weird Japanese movies about, you know, basically a guy he comes from a very Catholic family, and he decides to start taking upskirt photography, a very Japanese thing. You know, the Japanese have all these weird little fetishistic obsessions. All you need to do is troll Japanese websites, and you realize there are issues in the culture, and then he gets all kind of ninja about trying to do the photography, and then of course there's a girl. He meets a girl. Well, there's always a girl, and you know she has issues. Meet cute. Okay, it's weird, tweaked, kind of psychosexual, martial arts-ish romantic comedy. Very Japanese, and that's cool. You know, great, wonderful. Where do I find it? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. Did I tell you that it was 4 hours long?
4 hours?
It's 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's too long.
So that's where you know, just wait a minute. What the hell? Seriously? 4 hours long? What's going on? I don't get it. But anyway, it's on Blu-ray. It's a gorgeous film, but set some time aside. I mean, it's not a bad film. It's not a boring film. It's just incredible. It's of its own, and it's an odd movie. What can I say? It's an odd movie. Then we also have a fantastic film here. Really, really great. This won the Audience Award at Toronto last year, which is the award that previously had been won by The King's Speech and by Slumdog Millionaire. This is Nadine Labaki's Where Do We Go Now? Nadine Labaki is a terrific Lebanese filmmaker who previously did a little movie called Caramel, which is kind of like the Lebanese version of Venus Beauty Institute, the French movie. You know, you have a bunch of women. It's sort of a feminist statement in an Arab world, and these women who, you know, run a beauty salon in Beirut, and one of them is gay, and it's sort of, you know, it's very, very, it's like an Arabic girl power movie. Anyway, Where Do We Go Now is even better. And it is still very much a feminist statement about being a woman in the Arab world, and it takes place in a village environment, and it is how the women basically try to stop the men from letting their religious hostilities explode into just an incendiary conflict. And it's really smart, it's really entertaining, it's very acerbic, and it's got some great extras on it, including An Evening with Nadine Lebaki, Khalid Mouzanar, and Anne-Dominique Toussaint, and some making-of featurettes, and a very good commentary. So that is an excellent film. It's on Blu-ray. It's a terrific transfer on Blu-ray. And then, lastly, for the foreign language fans, we have a dynamic pair of releases from Criterion. We have a couple of other English-language Criterion films, but this is just sensational stuff. Very recently, there was a restoration of The Children of Paradise, which is one of the greatest films ever made. From 1945, this is Marcel Carné's epic film that was made under the noses of the German occupation during World War II, right during the Nazi occupation. And the film is in many ways a protest against the occupation, but it's not like they shot this on sound stages and, in basements. There are crowd scenes here. There's like a period film. There are crowd scenes. There's set dressing out in the street, and you wonder, how did they even pull this off? I mean, the Nazis knew everything. They knew what people were doing in their bathrooms. How did they pull this film off? And it is really an extraordinary achievement in every way. The film itself, the making of the film, and you learn a lot of this stuff from audio commentaries by Brian Stonehill and Charles Affron. And, of course, the incredible restoration of the film itself, which has fixed things that no one has ever seen properly over the years. I mean, I've seen this film at least a dozen times, and the prints always had many of the same problems because they were all struck from the same damage negative, and unbelievable. Janus Films just went to town, got this thing whipped into shape, and it's just gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's never been better. It's on Blu-ray, and it's one of the greatest films ever. And if you don't get it, you're an idiot. You're just an idiot. This needs to be on every single Blu-ray owner's shelf. And got a lot of extras in addition to the commentaries, a 2009 documentary on the making of the film, featurettes, 1967 film documentary with interviews with the director and a number of the actors, and it's just great. And a cool little side to it, there is a criminal character in the film who is actually based on a real figure, and there was by the name of Lacenaire, and there was actually a film starring Daniel Auteuil about Lacenaire made maybe 16, 17 years ago. So, a little interesting connective tissue there. And the other film is Les Visiteurs du Soir, The Visitors of the Night. This is also a Marcel Carné film made a few years earlier in 1942. And not as great, not as brilliant, not as landmark, but obviously a great thing to release kind of in tandem with The Children of Paradise because it gets to piggyback on it. So people are probably going to be buying both of these. And this also stars Arletty, who was the star of Children of Paradise, who's wonderful in this as well. And it's just kind of a medieval fantasy film, very nicely made, and also has kind of an allegorical element commenting on the Nazi occupation as well. Again, not as effective, not as kind of incisive or insightful as Children of Paradise, but very, very good. And some great extras here as well, including the 2009 documentary on the making of this film and a great essay by Michael Atkinson, the film critic. So that's it for the foreign films. And then, Mark?
Yes. What are we doing?
You know what? Hold on.
Yes?
Why don't... I'm going to let you...
Oh.
I'm going to let you prep that, and then I'm just going to go through the kid vid real quickly, because this is, we got to get to other stuff. We got to move here. We spend a lot of time on baseball and Carol Burnett. For your kids,
stuff.
Here's what you got for your kids, and I recommend all these. I've taken a look at most of this stuff, and there's some fun stuff on all of these. I'm not a fan of a lot of the special Tom and Jerry, the new Tom and Jerry stuff that they do specially just to kind of sell them. It's terrible, but you know what? Halloween's coming up. 22 cartoons, tricks or treats, Tom and Jerry. That's fine. It's adequate. It's passable. If you have a toddler out there, the Ultimate Can-Do Crew collection of Bob the Builder. This is basically just encouraging your child to tear the house apart and paint things that they should not be painting. And then we also have from the Hanna-Barbera Classic Collection, this is part of the Warner Archive Collection as well, the complete animated series of Sky Commanders. Mark, did you ever watch this show?
No.
I don't. This thing came, and I looked at it, and I thought, when did this... how did I miss this? Because this is something that I should have grown up with. It's one of those old Hanna-Barbera shows about this kind of like a high-tech G.I. Joe squad that somewhere in the South Pacific, and it's very, very sci-fi, very tech, and very superhero, and it just, I thought I should have been aware of this. Why did I not see that? I don't know, but it's pretty cool. I feel like I would have enjoyed it more if I'd have seen it at the time it aired. Real Monsters Season 3 is out, and the animation still freaks me out a little bit. This is all of that. All inspired by the whole kind of weird Crickfalusi, Klasky Shupo thing. Let's just make a lot of weird, grotesque, twisted monsters and animate them and hope that children don't scream. But some decent voice talents here. Tim Curry is one of them, and every time I hear Tim Curry's voice, I keep thinking, why isn't Spamalot a movie? Spamalot should be a movie. Speaking of G.I. Joe, we have G.I. Joe Renegades, the complete first season on Blu-ray. And this is originally aired on Hub, which is one of those TV networks that I just still don't know where to find. You look for it, it's not there. So somebody has Hub. So obviously somebody has seen this when it originally aired. This is basically they're just getting the G.I. Joe, getting their G.I. Joe on in an animated sense to try and maintain the franchise so that these movies, the second of which is now delayed until next year, right?
Yes. It's done but delayed.
Oh, my gosh.
And you know what? They only delay films if they're really good.
Cat Dog Season 2 Part 2, more twisted, weird, sick junk. It's just the strangest concept ever. It's half cat, it's half dog, it's some kind of Siamese twin freaky thing, and you know what? People seem to like it, so, children today, they're disturbed. You know what's really excellent, Mark? The combo pack, Blu-ray DVD Ultraviolet of Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 1. This is an original DC Universe animated film. Extremely well animated. I got to say, this is very, very impressive and really well written. And I wish some of the people who are involved in this would have gotten involved in, the Green Lantern movie, because they have some people who are working on these animated films that are very, very sharp. And this, again, is part 1. So hang on for part 2. But the animation comes through really, really nicely on Blu-ray. Very nicely done. This is a feature film, and this is a foreign film, but it's, we got to talk about it in the animated section here. This is a 2012 Academy Award nominee on Blu-ray and DVD, Chico and Rita. This was kind of a surprise nominee. I remember when we got this, and everybody's like, well, what's going to be in the end? Well, okay, we'll look at the Spanish-language animated film, because it's Fernando Treba, who had won an Oscar for Belle Epoque. He's a known filmmaker. He's worked in Hollywood a little bit. Lovely man. I've interviewed him, and here he's dabbling in the animated realm. I didn't think the film was that great. It's set in Cuba, pre-revolution, late 40s. But for some reason, that kind of cool, breezy animation and the music.
People were swayed by the animation and the music, because the relationship between the two characters, it's a relationship that spans 50 years.
Yeah.
So what they do is they'll meet and then not run into each other for another 12 years. So by the time it's over, you're like, I don't really even know you. I don't know. As a character piece, it was not very good. But as a piece of music and as a piece of animation, I thought it was very interesting.
There's stuff interesting in it, and the Blu-ray is very, very nice. It certainly does favor the animation. And then if you're a fan of Thomas and Friends, we've got the Blue Mountain Mystery, the movie. This is a feature-length movie on a Blu-ray and DVD combo pack. And I don't know that Thomas and Friends ever really needs to be on Blu-ray. I don't know anybody who's, 3-year-old has been watching Thomas and Friends and that horrible, horrible animation of the train with the face on it, going, Mom, Dad, couldn't you get this in Blu-ray? Because I can actually see edge enhancement on the bad CGI. I don't know if anybody is screaming for that, but I guess it'll impress enough parents that, some of them might want to put it on. Barney, this is Barney the Dinosaur, Most Lovable Moments, which is to say that this is a DVD with nothing on it.
Exactly.
Exactly. Was that just marginally funny? Not really funny. Just sort of more truth.
Scale of 1 to 10.
More true than funny.
Yeah. 4 on the comedy scale, 8 on the truth scale.
Yeah, I think so. And then we have a documentary here on Bill Plympton. Now, this is a documentary, but it goes here because it's marginally related to animation. So I'm just putting all the animation together the animation together today. This is from director Alexia Anastasio, and it's called Adventures in Plymptoons. If you don't know anything about Bill Plympton is the guy who almost had a job working at Disney and just said, screw you, I'm going to go do my own thing because I got to make twisted stuff. And Bill Plympton makes some of the most bizarre, twisted, weird, psychotic animation in the world. But you know what? It's all entertaining. It's not indulgent. It's his own style, his own statement. He's gotten a number of Oscar nominations out of it. And
including your face. Now, is your face on? I'm sure your face is in there somewhere.
In pieces.
That's like his most famous work, I would think. Your face.
So you get a lot of people weighing in on his genius, including Terry Gilliam and Ralph Bakshi, who obviously both were very, very influenced by him, and they're very good friends with him. And you know what? It's a nice look at a very seminal animator and why he's important.
Did I ever tell you when Bill Plympton signed an autograph for me? Did I ever tell you the story?
No.
So I'm at this. I don't know where I am. I'm at one of those year-end LAFCA, dinner parties that we get invited to, and it's Bill Plympton. I'm very excited.
Right.
And Bill Plympton says. And Bill Plympton's he's pimping out his new feature length. It was his very first feature length film that was coming out that year.
Sure.
And he says, "You want me to? Do you want an autograph?" And I'm not a big autograph guy, but Bill Plympton says, "Sure." But when Bill Plympton asks, I'm like, "Yes, I'll take an autograph." So he whips out this little postcard that is pimping out his film, and he draws a little figure on the postcard and signs it Bill Plympton. I'm very excited, very excited. Bill Plympton took out his postcard, drew a figure, and then signed it. So excited! What a great moment. So I'm walking around the party. Thank you, Bill. I really appreciate making that effort for me. I'm walking around the party. I see our friend Amy Nicholson from Box Office Magazine. I say, Amy, you will never guess what just happened. Bill Plympton just whipped out a postcard and drew a picture for me and signed it. And she said, yeah, you mean this picture?
Yeah.
And she took out a postcard with the same picture and the same signature.
There you go.
So I did not feel special at all.
I'm sorry.
I was crestfallen.
Well,
I thought Bill liked me. Turns out he was probably signing those autographs with that very same picture all night.
Hawking them to everybody. And then we also have Iron Man Armored Adventures, Season 2, Volume 2. And, this is, what can I say? This is Marvel doing the same thing that DC does with the Batman stuff, which is to say basically keeping the franchise alive, keeping it in people's face in an animated form on television so that when the movies come around, you still got the feeling. You still got the feeling. You still got to go get your fix. So we alternate the animation and the live action. This is perfectly fine. I don't think it's groundbreaking or genius or anything, but it's it's there for the fans from Vivendi if you want it. Iron Man Armored Adventures Season 2 Volume 2.
Wade, yes. Anything else?
Yes, that's it for the animation Kidvid. All
right, listen. We got a Vox Box coming up. We have one last Criterion to talk about, and let's continue with TV. We have in the from 1953 to 1961, Edward R. Murrow. Now, those of you maybe have heard of Edward R. Murrow because he was the subject of George Clooney's Good Night and Good Luck.
Really good movie.
But Edward R. Murrow was a pioneer in journalism. What people don't remember is that Murrow was actually kind of a pioneer in celebrity interviews. He did a lot of celebrity interviews, not puff pieces, but they were celebrity interviews. And a lot of them were on a very popular show he did in the 50s called Person to Person. And CBS DVD has finally wisely started to package these. And I'm telling you, man, these are three great DVDs. Now, I'm going to read everybody who's interviewed on these because you're going to realize that that this was just great stuff. By the way, you realize who directed these person-to-persons? Franklin Schaffner. Now, Franklin Schaffner directed Patton and Planet of the Apes.
Oh, my gosh.
And here he is in 1953 to 1961 directing Person to Person.
I did not. I'd known that at one point and completely forgotten it.
Now, some of these were interviews at the celebrity's home. Some of these were interviews on a set, and the set was very sparse. So it's not like Schaffner's bringing his Planet of the Apes sensibilities to Person. But it's interesting. Anyway, there's three of these. Highly recommended. One is called American Icons. That's Andy Griffith, John F. Kennedy, Danny Thomas, Jackie Kennedy, Dick Clark, and Robert Kennedy. So that's the best of person-to-person American Icons. The other one is Hollywood Legends. This is Edward R. Murrow at home with Marilyn Monroe, Bogey and Bacall, Marlon Brando, Charlton Heston, Liz Taylor, and Paul Newman. So already, these are icons. I mean, Edward R. Murrow didn't just talk to Shecky Smith. I mean, the guy was like sitting down with the greats.
Awesome.
The third one is the best of person-to-person legendary entertainers: Liberace, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra, Carol Channing, Milton Berle, and there's, by the way, each one has more than what I'm reading off to you, but still it's great stuff.
Wow.
So these are really highly recommended. Okay, Family Guy. Volume 10. Now, Wade knows I'm a big Family Guy fan.
Yep.
And it's funny because I was kind of noticing that the quality of the show was slipping in recent seasons. I think that maybe because Seth MacFarlane is stretching himself a bit thin. I mean, he was obviously prepping, directing, and in post on Ted, which is a very funny movie and a surprise worldwide hit, but still, that took up his attention. He's got 3 primetime shows on Fox. That's taken up his attention. So his original creation, Family Guy, he may be not paying that much attention to it anymore. But when you look at the Blu-ray, the DVD for Family Guy Season 10, you realize that there kind of were a lot of good episodes in Season 10. There's that Lottery Fever one where Peter buys 400,000 lottery tickets hoping he's going to win.
Yeah, I don't know this.
And then there's the Amish one where they go to Amish country.
Okay.
Goodbye, Abraham Lincoln people. And there is a lot of good episodes on this, actually. And you know what? There's actually a really funny one that was on TV last night. It's the one where... I know. I'm so lame. It's the one where...
I'm scared that you know that.
It's the viewer mail one where it turns out that Family Guy was based on an old BBC One show called Chap of the Manor. And so...
That's kind of funny.
This is a segment of Chap of the Manor, the BBC One show that Family Guy is supposedly based on.
Yeah.
That was actually very funny. Anyway, special features include commentaries and the music for Road to North Pole, because Family Guy does have very good orchestral music, because Seth MacFarlane is a big old school music guy, and also Adam West's. Adam West is on the show. Adam West plays Adam West on the show, the mayor of Quahog.
Okay.
And here they have some video of he got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. You got that. Anyway, good stuff here. And the best part, of course, is that all the language that was bleeped on these Fox airings are there.
Nice.
That is always funny.
Well, we got a bunch of estrogen here, and we're going to get from the estrogen into our Vox box in a moment. But I want to talk about Gossip Girl, which I guess is somewhat timely now because
what's her name got married to
Blake Lively just got married to the Green Lantern.
He's not just the Green Lantern, by the way. Ryan Reynolds appears on an episode of Family Guy Season 10.
Well, anyway, speaking of that, Blake Lively, of course, lovely woman, and there are all new episodes of this now starting on the CW. But anyway, this is the 5th season of Gossip Girl, and you know what? It's a soap opera, and I have you watch this, and there's all kinds of stuff going on, and somebody is somewhere, and somebody's on a vacation, and it's summertime, and I don't know where this is picking up, but it's it's one of those shows. It's a CW show. What do you want? More my speed is Desperate Housewives. Oh, by the way, there's a gag reel on that. Not very funny gag reel. Desperate Housewives, the 8th and final season, and I love Desperate Housewives. This is just brilliant. This includes the final kiss goodbye, which is just, this show ended on such a high note. It really did. Just a tremendous high note, a fabulous final episode. And this is great. I can't wait for this to eventually be on Blu-ray, because it was shot for a number of the final seasons on high def, and damn it needs to be on Blu-ray. So get going on that, would you please, over there at ABC and Disney. Do it. Just do it. Get on it. But otherwise, a bunch of bonus features. I guess is this goodbye and a commentary on the finale from Mark Cherry, the creator, along with some bloopers and deleted scenes, which are always pleasant because everybody had so much fun on this show. It's a great show. Really, really cool. Absolutely fabulous. The 20th anniversary specials. If you love Ab Fab, you just can't not love this. Now these aren't, these are a trio of specials that they did, including one for the Olympics. Everybody came back together. The whole original cast, not looking so bad. Got to admit, everybody's got a little bit of wear and tear on them, but it's still a funny show. And there's a bit where Safi, the good girl, wound up in prison for like a passport forging violation, and the whole episode is just outrageously funny. I cannot tell you how funny it is.
Lame.
So I'm thrilled that they came out with the specials, because now you can have a complete set of all of your ab fabs.
Lame.
Season 6 of Army Wives Part 1, and this is a pretty decent show. I'm hit and miss on it. I mean, I've watched a few episodes that didn't really seem to go anywhere, but there are others that are very, very well written and poignant, and it's nice East Coast environs where they shot it. Not much by way of extras, bloopers and deleted scenes, that's it. But the nice thing is it's not just soapy and soap opera like. It does get inside kind of what it means to be an army wife, and I'm glad they're a little bit respectful in that sense. And of course, even though I don't think Body of Proof is a very good show, this is the complete second season. Dana Delaney is just deliriously wonderful, and I can't watch her without wondering, when are they going to get it together and get China Beach on DVD? Just sort out that music licensing issue and get it done. Anyway, this is season 2, 20 episodes. And it's basically Quincy with Dana Delaney being hot instead of Jack Klugman being not hot. That's all I can say. But tons of bonus features here, lots of featurettes, as well as interviews and featurettes, and it's all great stuff. It's it's a fun show. What can I say? It's not a great. It's not a great show, but if you love Dana Delaney, she carries you through.
When China Beach is finally released on DVD or Blu-ray, are you going to quit the business? Because you've been talking about that for 10 years.
Yeah, that'll probably be the end. That'll be it. That'll be the culmination of my life's quest.
Wait, is it VoxBox time? Because I'll be honest.
It's VoxBox time. Do it. Rock it.
Ooh.
Rock that
do
intro.
I get to, okay. It's VoxBox.
Hi, Mark and Wade. It's Cheryl Dixon. And last week you brought up William Goldman. And I was thinking, what is your favorite William Goldman script? I think Butch Cassidy is probably his best, though Misery and Princess Bride are right up there. And probably his worst is Dreamcatcher. What are your favorites, guys? Thank you.
Wow, great question. Thank you, Chevelle. Your favorite
what
William Goldman...
What did you just call him? Did you call him Shell?
Chevelle.
Oh. I thought you said Shell.
Chevelle.
Thank you, Shell.
No, Chevelle Dixon. What do you think? What's your favorite?
Oh,
Bill.
my
Bill.
God.
We call him Bill. What's your favorite script by Bill?
Do I have to pick one? You know what? Can I narrow it down to 3?
Yeah, sure.
Butch Cassidy, All the President's Men, because it won Best Picture, and Princess Bride.
I'm going to say that...
I took all the good ones.
You know what? Misery's awfully good. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, really, that's how do you top that? I'm going to say worst, Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yeah, that really was. Now, was that the end of Chevy Chase?
Oh my gosh, that was just such an egregious movie. That was like you have to imagine that was a for hire job, and he just rewrote somebody else's crap and just took the paycheck.
You know what movie that he took a lot of crap for, but I liked, was The General's Daughter with Travolta. The movie's not that bad.
And Great Waldo Pepper doesn't get enough attention. That's a fun movie. That's a fun, underrated George Roy Hill movie. And
a good double feature with Angelina Jolie's Salt. Waldo Pepper and Salt.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. And by the way, you know what? Here's the thing. You know what? Something else, too, is that if you want to see a thriller of the kind they don't make anymore, and that William Goldman wrote, he also wrote the novel, you should check out Marathon Man from '76, John Schlesinger. And John Schlesinger was a pretty transgressive kind of director, wouldn't you say?
I would agree.
I mean, the guy did a bunch of films, but you know what? He directed Midnight Cowboy. And
John Schlesinger did one of my favorite films of all time, which was one of his last films, actually.
Billy Liar. I love
Billy Liar's great.
Billy Liar.
But even more recently, I have to say Cold Comfort Farm, which was made for British television, is such a wonderful movie in every conceivable way.
But he was gay. And at the time, for
and out,
yeah. Which now you're talking the
60s,
you're talking
60s.
the '60s.
Yeah,
that was a big deal. And I would say, now we're getting into other. Well, actually, it's all William Goldman. But if we're getting to John Schlesinger, Billy Liar, love it. Midnight Cowboy won Best Picture. Sunday Bloody Sunday is coming out on Criterion soon.
I know.
Actually.
So nice.
And that's good also. And you know what? The Falcon and the Snowman, which Sean Penn is also good from 85.
There you go.
Anyway, so that's John Schlesinger. Now, Wade has more TV.
Well, we're gonna plow through some more television. And meanwhile, if you want to send us a Voxbox or even send us listener mail, go ahead and do so at gods@digigods.com. Anytime, anywhere, just hit us. We're there, gods@digigods.com. And wrap it out as much TV as we're able to. We got 3 CSIs. Too many damn CSIs on television. We've got 3 CSIs to talk about here. 12th season of CSI, the original CSI. As long as we're talking about people who used to be on China Beach, Marg Helgenberger does not age. Love her to death. She's great. And this, by now in the 12th season, somehow Ted Danson is on this show. And that's just a very strange thing to me. But, what do you want? Elizabeth Shue is also on the show. And by the way, Elizabeth Shue is also in House at the End of the Street, which just opened last Friday. Crap. Horrible movie. Well, Jennifer Lawrence and Elizabeth Shue, 2 Oscar nominees in basically the worst knockoff of Psycho I have ever seen.
Well, yeah, but it's like, they must have shot that a couple years ago, and then they saw her getting big, and they held it. They
don't know. It's a relativity film, so who knows?
Yeah, but and here's the thing: do we hear much about Relativity anymore?
No, for good reason. So anyway, 12th season of CSI. It's got a couple of episodes with audio commentary, a few featurettes. Otherwise, it's the same junk. They dust for prints and they use all kinds of technical gizmos to catch bad guys. Totally different is the final season of CSI Miami, which is a completely different show. What makes it different is that they're doing all this stuff in Miami. So it's completely different.
And it's just much hotter there in
Miami. It's
much
hotter.
In the other cities
it's just different buildings and different backdrop and different actors, and it's just completely different. And here, there's also 2 episodes with audio commentary and more featurettes, but deleted scenes and a gag reel. But it's totally different, completely, entirely different. And David Caruso, man, can you believe that guy once thought he had a feature career? He is a TV cop. That's all he's ever going to be able to do.
That is true.
And then lastly, to really expand the CSI universe, CSI New York, the 8th season, is totally different from the other 2 because it's in New York. And that's just how it is. Actually, to be honest, I think CSI New York is probably the best of the lot these days because, Gary Sinise is pretty great. That guy just brings it. He's got a presence on television that is awfully, awfully hard to compete with. And Celia Ward I've always enjoyed because she's just ageless and just unbelievably gorgeous. But it's all about Gary Sinise, man. That guy just really, really brings it. And this does not have any commentaries, but it's more of the same, in New York. And Mark, why don't you? You're a Shatner. You love goofing on Shatner. Could you explain to me what? I mean, come on, the hairpiece. Just you take it.
Don't you think that I kind of wonder when Shatner started wearing the wig? He didn't wear it during the Star Trek years, did he?
No, but then he lost his hair, and then he started. I don't know.
But no one's ever seen him without his hair. No one's even ever seen him with gray hair or thinning hair.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Weird. Just weird. One of these days.
Anyway, you know what? Back in the day. And when I say in the day, I mean like in the 70s. Every network used to have a miniseries division.
Yes,
where all they would do is create miniseries. They'd play over 2 nights or 3 nights. Roots is probably the most famous miniseries ever. And a lot of these miniseries were historical. They were written by, who's the guy who writes like the 1,000-page novels? Each one's named
Michener. Yeah.
And John Jakes. There was a couple by John Jakes, and one of them is the Kent Chronicles, and the Kent Chronicles is three movies: The Bastard, The Rebels, and The Seekers. And it stars Shatner, Kim Cattrall, very young Kim Cattrall, very young Don Johnson, and Delta Burke, and of course Tom Bosley. Now there were more Kent Family Chronicle novels than there were movies, but anyway, these people really like these. Shatner to me is a very modern actor, and I don't.
It does not belong here,
and I don't really see him belonging here. But anyway, it's all revolutionary era stuff. Young Frenchman comes to America and crosses paths with Paul Revere. Shatner plays Paul Revere. I mean, that's honestly,
it's wrong.
You know who else is in this? Is George
the British
Hamilton
are coming. The British are coming.
It's just the worst. George Hamilton's in this too. These are. I actually, you know what? I at this point, Acorn must just be
Well, and look, it fell into their lap. Why not?
Shatner's
face. Look, you look at Shatner's face. You walk through a Best Buy or somewhere, and this thing's on the shelf. You're going to double take because you're going to go, "That's Shatner."
And this is back when he was like kind of like in that middle age but still handsome kind of era.
Yeah.
And
look, T.J. Hooker. Environ.
You love T.J.
It's the best.
Anyway, so Ken
you know what's
Chronicles...
great about T.J. Hooker? Not to go on a tangent, but we always go on tangents. The best thing about T.J. Hooker was every episode included some soliloquy about why it's a jungle out there on the street. It was the best.
It was the worst.
Really the best. Adrian Zmed. Gotta love it. He replaced Danny Terrio on Dance Fever. You know that.
I do. and that's why that show died. Shortly after.
Oh my gosh. 30 Rock is out on season 6, and this has a new season starting shortly on Thursday. You know what? I find it amazing how much 30 Rock I have not seen. I thought I had seen a lot of it, and the reruns are all over television now, and it seems like every other episode is something I haven't seen.
You know, the thing about 30 Rock is, and when you get into the later seasons, and I might be in the minority on this, is that it's obviously very funny, and it's very inside, and all that kind of stuff. But I noticed that the characters aren't really growing or developing. It's sort of becoming just about the show and Alec Baldwin, and I feel like that's going to become that's why the show's returns.
It is, and then that's just the scene. You know, it's not a show about character. It's a show about the wacky chemistry of these people, and because it is very, very broad comedy, and because all these shows always sort of revolve around mildly dysfunctional people and one insanely crazy person. There's always one crazy person, and in this case, it's Tracy Morgan, which is what Michael Richards was on Seinfeld, and you can kind of go right down the line. Every one of or the guy on what was the Just Shoot Me, the crazy
David Spade and
the crazy lumbering what's his name, the big scary guy.
Shecky Green?
Yeah, whatever.
Star Wars?
There's always one, or Johnny Fever on WKRP. There's always one person who's unhinged. So Tracy Morgan is hysterical on this show, and it's more of the same. Jeez, it's the season 6 has been doing it for 5 years. By the time you add this to your shelf, so you're good. And this includes both versions of Live from Studio 6H. If you recall that, there was a West Coast version and an East Coast version. Oddly enough, so that's a little bit of television history there. So go and check it out. Also, some nice audio commentary work by some of the people involved, including Jane Krakowski, and it's if you have the first 5 seasons, you got to get it.
Wrapping up TV, I guess we have Supernatural on Blu-ray. This is season 7. Supernatural is one of those CW shows that is very similar to all the other CW shows, where really hot guys and really hot girls are vampires, or they run around in beautiful dresses and clothing and look all hip and bunch of crap. Anyway, this one people dig because it's got it's like more demons kind of a thing than it is vampires and werewolves. But I just think this thing is terrible. It's just not my cup of tea, man. Anyway, 4 discs, 23 episodes, a couple good special features, including some commentaries, directing the show, and outtakes and whatnot. So that is Supernatural Season 7. It's well shot, looks good on Blu-ray, but it's just another one of those stupid CW shows. Get a Life is a show that Chris Elliott's kind of a cult comic. I don't know that many people would remember him anymore, but he's a cult comic who starred in a series for 2 seasons called Get a Life. Now, Get a Life is now out. The complete series is out on DVD. This is called the unspecial non-anniversary edition of Get a Life.
And Bob Elliott, his dad, is Bob of Ken and Bob on the radio, and his daughter, Allison Elliott, was
just exited.
Recently fired from Saturday Night Live, which I think is a bad move because I think she's very talented.
And I don't like the fact that comics who we know growing up and learning about and loving comedy are now having daughters who are attractive and are entering television.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like that.
I know. It's a problem.
Yeah. Anyway, so the character was kind of based on Dennis the Menace, and it's about Elliot plays a guy who's like a 30-year-old paper boy living at home, and Elliot is, again, he's a very cult kind of a guy. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but he is very funny, and he does have a cult following, and I do like him. He is good stuff. But he has a show called what is the name of the show he does for Comedy Central. It's where he plays that. It's where he plays that. It's like a parody of of like Chuck Norris shows.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Can't place it.
Wait a minute.
Go for it.
Fair.
Find it. Show's running out.
Find it. Wait. Say something, Wade, while I look it up.
While you're looking that up, we also will wrap out television with Modern Family. Well, you got Portlandia to mention too. Modern Family, complete third season on Blu-ray.
Eagleheart.
That's it.
And Eagleheart is funny.
It is. I've seen it.
It's like a spoof of like action comedy shows.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it a few times.
It's produced by Conan O'Brien's company.
Yeah.
Anyway, Get a Life complete series.
And then Modern Family, complete third season. Modern Family, by the time this show is on up and you're listening to it, will probably have won more Emmys. So this is the complete third season on Blu-ray of Modern Family, which I only have a problem with in that it totally rips off The Office in that whole kind of phony documentary look with the interviews and the shaky camera and all that stuff. It's just too many shows that are doing that in the wake of The Office, Parks and Rec, and all these things. But honestly, apart from that, it's a very well-written show, clever bunch of very funny cast, and it's been an influential show. I know a lot of people that like this way better than The Office, so maybe it is a case of stealing and making better. Good special features, deleted and alternate scenes, not such a big deal, but A Modern Family Christmas, very fun. Destination Wyoming, A Day on the Set with Ty, some great featurette work here. They've done above and beyond, I think, for fans, so fans will enjoy this.
All right, finally, we have season 2 of Portlandia. Now, Portlandia is kind of a cult show that stars Fred Armisen, and it's all about life in Portland, Oregon, and all the crazy inhabitants thereof. Now, this is a Lorne Michaels show, and you know what? Lorne Michaels is pretty much responsible for more successful comedies than any television producer in history. So, although he tends to strike out film-wise, he does do very well on TV. The show's pretty charming. It's pretty funny. It's a low-budget show, but it kind of embraces its low-budgetness. And so, it definitely has a very unique vibe, and it's got some interesting characters, and it's a unique show. I totally get it. It's good. Season 2 on Blu-ray. Special features include a couple of featurettes, and one of the episodes is a director's cut, which doesn't add all that much more, but it's still funny. So there you go, Portlandia Season 2, worth a rental.
Absolutely. And finally, before we let you all go, we got 4 movies new to DVD. 2 of these are just regular DVDs, and 2 are Criterion. I'm going to recommend one of these regular ones and not the other one. The one I'm not going to recommend is the Dodeca Pentathlon, which is a just horrible Duplass Brothers mumblecore low-budget film that they made while they were doing other movies. And they made this thing just with like video cameras and a bunch of non-actors and themselves and whoever else. And it's about 2 brothers who have this childhood rivalry with this weird sports event, and all these and their egos get the best of them, and they decide to have a rematch, and it just all gets completely out of hand. It's so mumblecore, it just drives me nuts. And it's on Blu-ray, and it might as well just be on VHS because it looks horrible. There's no reason for this thing to be on Blu-ray. It just isn't good enough looking. On the other hand, Hysteria is a great freaking movie, and this thing did nothing in theaters. You've got to remedy that. Go out and buy or rent the Blu-ray of Hysteria, which is a delightful movie. It's a Victorian story about the invention of the vibrator, which was originally created to alleviate women's hysteria. And this is such a wonderful romantic comedy. It stars Hugh Dancy and Maggie Gyllenhaal. It is just terrific. Jonathan Pryce and Felicity Jones in supporting performances. This is Felicity Jones before she really kind of broke out, by the way. Really just it's based in fact, but it's such a delightful period romantic comedy. You will love it. It's just so much fun. And gorgeous Blu-ray, by the way. Sony Classics just nailed it. They knocked it out of the park. It's a fabulous transfer. And then lastly, we've got 2 Criterion English language films here. Eating Raoul, the famous cult film by Paul Bartel on Blu-ray. I never expected this to show up on a Blu-ray from Criterion, of all people, but I got to tell you, they did a great job of it. This should look like crap because it's such a low-budget film. It doesn't even look good on film, but they really did a lovely job on it. Lots of great features. Commentary with Richard Blackburn and production designer Robert Schulenberg, and the film's editor. A lot of other stuff from the like vintage stuff. Cooking Up Raoul, which is a new documentary, and then a couple of pieces from 1966 and 69, The Secret Cinema and Naughty Nurse. I mean, this really just, if you're a fan of the movie or a fan of Paul Bartel, this is archival stuff, and you will love it. As to what the movie's actually about, if you don't know, boy, are you in for a treat. And I mean that literally and figuratively. And then lastly, a movie that we also never thought would wind up on a Criterion Special Edition is a Blu-ray of David Fincher's The Game, which was one of those throwaway Fincher films for a moment that nobody really thought much of. But in hindsight, even though it's very much a kind of a mechanical conceit with Michael Douglas as a guy who gets caught in this kind of weird con game where nothing is quite as it appears, but everything may be kind of a game, or maybe it's not a game, maybe someone's playing a trick on him, maybe there's really a conspiracy going on, maybe his life's being screwed up, maybe it's the ultimate practical joke. You don't quite know. And it's a conceit, it's a trick. It's not entirely successful, but
I think if Fincher had made this film today, he would make it make more sense at the end.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There's a feeling that when the big reveal happens, you're like, when a movie has a big reveal like that, you wind up going back and revisiting the stuff in your mind that happened, and a good movie will add that up.
I agree.
It'll make sense.
I agree.
And what came before will equal the end.
In this case,
one, it doesn't.
It doesn't, but it's awfully well made. So
sure.
that's the reason why I think it's good that it's on Criterion, because it is beautifully shot. It's really well made. And in hindsight, now that we know who Fincher is and what he's done since, and you look at stuff like, The Social Network and everything else in Seven, you can look back on this and you can say, well, even though the movie has problems, I can see a much better filmmaker, a much better storyteller evolving. I can't say that necessarily about something like Panic Room. But I can say that with The Game. The Game really does show those flourishes. So for that reason alone, it's nice that it gets the Criterion treatment and deserves a space on your shelf. With that, we are done. Mark, what other?
You didn't ask me for a final thought again. You always ask
No.
me. I have nothing to say.
What are you going to cook? What are you going to cook for me next week?
I don't know.
Okay.
But you know what? I will know because I will cook whatever I will bake whatever I'm asked to bake for the cooking class.
Because I'm just bringing my appetite now.
Yeah. Well, that's not fair.